Oh, we're going to start this unit 9-1, measuring length in the metric system. I'm going to start by sharing my screen. And I'm going to remind you that in our modules section, we have a unit conversion table in the modules, in the notes or student things. And we're going to be using this a little bit, well, quite a bit in this section. So bear with as we're going through here and talking about that. I'm going to open up Microsoft Word so that I can write in it. It seems to be the easiest way to be able to make notes. So again, I gotta stop my share for a second and reshare because my iPad was off fine. So hopefully this is good. All right. So in here, I'm going to start with this idea. You can tell the allergies are getting me. I'm pretty stuffed up, so I'm sorry for that. But that's the way summer and spring are for me. So this section 9-1, measuring length, the metric system. I'm going to start off with talking about what's known as dimensional analysis. Dimensional analysis is comparing different units of measure or changing the unit and comparing difference. So as I work on dimensional analysis, this is like changing from, for example, 27 pounds to ounces. Or maybe I want to change 27 pounds to grams. In order to do these types of problems, I have to use dimensional analysis. And when I'm using dimensional analysis, I want to pay attention specifically to what I'm changing to. That's my wanted unit of measure. Was my wanted unit of measure. And what I mean by that is this: if I'm going to change 40 inches to feet, I'm going to need change inches into feet, which means I need to do a unit analysis. When I go back to my little screen here, my unit conversion table, I have this little corner up here that says 12 inches equals 1 foot. So I'm going to use my unit conversions to answer this question. Okay. I want to change 40 IN to so many feet. That's what I want as my answer. And that's why I have to pay attention to this. Okay. As I pay attention to that, I know that I want to have feet as my numerator. So I am going to use my unit analysis, knowing that 1 foot is 12 inches. And as I do that, I can cancel off the label inches because inches is on top and inches is on the bottom. Just like in a fraction, if I have something like 3/15, I can say that 3 goes into 3 once and 15 goes into or 3 goes into 15 5 times. So 3/15 actually equals 1/5. I could do the same thing canceling with labels. If I have inches on the bottom and inches on the top, they cancel each other. So now the only label that I have left is feet. So I know that I am done with being able to change. So all I have to do is do the math. I've got 40 times 1 over 12, or 40 times 1 over 12. Remember division bar, division bar. Okay, so all I really have to do is grab my calculator and take 40 divided by 12. I'm going to write it right here. I already have it written right here. 40 divided by 12 is 20 over 6, or 10 over 3, which is 3 1/3 feet, or 1/3 of a foot is 4 inches. 3 feet, 4 inches, or 3.3 repeating feet. 3 feet is how I abbreviate. 4 inches would also be fine. But when you're putting this into your Pearson, make sure that you're reading what they want for an answer, either a decimal or to the nearest foot or in inches and feet, because that's what they will ask you. So next, what about 13,200 feet to mile? Okay. So again, I'm going to start with 1,320 feet, and I'm going to change that to miles. So I'm going to go to my little conversion thing here, and it says 1 mile is 1.6 kilometers. Oh, here it is. 5,280 feet equals 1 mile. So I'm going to use that unit conversion. I want it in miles, so miles is going to be on top. 5,280 is going to be on the bottom. So I write that out. 1 mile is 5,280 feet. The feet label cancels, and I have 1,320 divided by 5,280. You're always going to divide by whatever's on the bottom. Sometimes you'll have to divide more than once. Pay attention to that. But right now in these unit analysis, we're just doing a little division. I'm going to grab my calculator for this one. Calculator, 1,000 or 13,200 divided by 5,280 equals 2.5 miles. Okay. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the metric system. Okay, and metric system is pretty easy to understand. We have a base measurement, and our base measurements are meters if it's distance, liters if it's volume, and grams if it's weight. So I've got meters, liters, and grams. That's our base. So we have from the base, the smaller units are decimeters, centimeters, and actually I'm going to erase that. I'm going to change that to deci, centi, and milli. And the larger measures are deca, hecta, and kilo, or kilograms, meters, and liters. And so I would put each of these prefixes in front of the base measure. If I'm measuring length, meters, kilometers, you've heard of, meters, you've heard of, obviously, centimeters, you've heard of, but we've got those things there. But as I'm doing that, I want to pay attention. If I am changing from a large, I'm going to hold it, I'm going to delete this. If I'm going to change from a large measure to small, multiply by 10. So like if I'm going from kilometers to meters, this is a large measure compared to meters. Okay. If I'm going from a large measure to a small, I multiply by 10. If I'm going from a small measure, sorry, to a large, I divide by 10. For each prefix, I change. So from kilometers to meters, and you can remember that I had meters here, and then I have decimeters or decameters, hectometers, and kilometers. To change from kilometers to meters, I go 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to multiply by 10 3 times. And if I'm going the other direction from, say, centimeters to meters, then I've got the other direction. I've got meters here. I've got decimeters, centimeters, millimeters. I'm going from centimeters to millimeters or to meters. I'm going 1, 2. So I divide by 10 twice, not divide by 20. That's a poor miss right there. It's divide by 10, then divide by 10 again, not dividing by 20. Okay. So with that in mind, if I'm going to change 504.7 meters to kilometers, this is a small and this is a large unit of measure. Comparing the two, meters are smaller than kilometers. So since meters are smaller than kilometers, I am going to divide by 10 for every unit. So kilometers are here, hectometers, decameters, and meters. To go from meters to kilometers, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to take 504.7, and I'm only going to write this once because then I'm going to show you what to do. I divide by 10, divide by 10, divide by 10. And when I divide by 10, it moves the decimal 3 places. If I'm dividing, it moves it left. It makes it a smaller unit. So I move it 1, 2, 3. I can also do this on my calculator. If my calculator will come up, you'll see it. It doesn't look like it's going to. So I'm sorry. But anyway, that's how you do that. Oh, I move it 3 places. It's 0.5047 kilometers. If I am changing from 27 meters to centimeters, meters are relatively big compared to centimeters. I've got meters, decimeters, centimeters, millimeters. So I'm going 2 places. So I'm going to take 27 times 10 for the first one, times 10 for the second one, which means I'm going to move my decimal I'm just gonna write it here. Here's my decimal. 3 places bigger or right. 1, 2, 3. The number should get larger. So I've got 2,000 or 27,000 centimeters. And that's relatively straightforward. Hopefully you've been doing this for a while and you know what's going on there. The last thing that I want to talk about in this section is changing from metric to English and English to metric. That is where, when you are reading your things here, you want to pay attention to these little boxes like inches to centimeters, feet to centimeters, yards to meters. These are the ones that we're going to use where we're changing the metric to English or English to metric. And this is where you have to pay attention to what you want at the end, because that depends on where you put this stuff in your unit fractions or in your fractions. Okay, so this time I'm going to change, just as a quick example, 55 miles per hour to kilometers per hour. And again, I don't know what just happened, but I gotta stop my share and I've got to reshare because my work wasn't writing. We go here, share. Okay. Now I have it out here better. I'm going to change 55 miles per hour to kilometers per hour. In order to do this, then all right, I'm going to have to pause for a second. I got something going on weird with my other computer. So, okay, I'm back. I'm going to share again. Figured out what I did wrong. Again, this is a work in progress for me, so please bear with. I'm going to change 55 miles per hour to kilometers per hour. Okay, so I've got 55 miles in 1 hour. I do not want the hours to cancel off because it is in here in my answer. I do want the miles to be gone, so I want miles on the bottom so that they will cancel. So now I'm going to look at my conversion sheet again real quick. It says that 1 mile is 1.6 kilometers. And so 1 mile is 1.6 kilometers. Now that I have 1 mile and that, the mile label can cancel off. And I now have kilometers on top, hours on the bottom, so it'll be in kilometers per hour. So I do my math. It's 55 times 1.6. 55 times 1.6 on my calculator is 88 kilometers per hour. Okay, well, that one was pretty simple. It was just one deal. Now let's change this. Let's go 8 inches to centimeters. Again, I've got 8 inches and I'm going to grab my little thing here. 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. I want centimeters on top so that the inches will cancel. So I will take 8 inches times 2.54 centimeters per 1 inch. The label inch cancels, so my answer is in centimeters. So I've got 8 times 2.54, which is 2, carry the 3, 43, carry the 4, 20.32 centimeters. So make sure that you're canceling the units to get to the units that you want. The last one I'm going to do is going to take a little bit more. I want to change 26,800 millimeters to inches. If I'm going to change that to inches, again, I'm going to look at my little translation or my little chart unit conversion table here, and I don't have anything that says how many inches it takes for millimeters. So I need to change my millimeters to centimeters first. Okay, so I have to come over here and I'm going to change my 26,800 millimeters to, I don't know why that disappeared again. To centimeters. Okay, so I'm changing from millimeters to centimeters. I'm changing from a small to a larger unit of measure. So that means I'm going to divide. Okay. I've got 26,800 in my chart. Millimeters is the very bottom one. Centimeters is the next one. Decimeters, then meters. But I'm only moving one unit, which means I'm going to divide by 10, which means that I'm going to move my decimal one place over. It gives me 2,680 centimeters instead of millimeters. So now I'm in centimeters. I know how to change centimeters to inches, but remember I'm changing to inches, so I want inches on top. 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. And since centimeters is on the bottom, the 2.54, I'm going to take 2,680 divided by 2.54 on my calculator. And we'll do that real quick, even though you won't be able to see it. I've got 2,680 divide 2.54 equals 1,055.11. 1,055.118. So I'm going to go 0.12 inches. So that is a short and sweet lesson on dimensional analysis. Hopefully that worked well for you. If not, again, please send me an email and we can set up a Zoom meeting. Thank you. Have a good day.